We're going to start with instruments or with voices. And if you can put your camera on, that would be great. What we're going to do is we are recording for sound and my picture, but you won't be on that. So that should be hopefully okay for people to have their screens on. What we're going to do in this session is, I'll have to say all this in a moment, of course, but we're going to start with playing or singing. And I'm going to ask you some questions before. So if you have an instrument that you need to get out, then do that. And if I can see you on screen, that makes my life much nicer. Perfect. Hi, Maggie. Welcome. And maybe could you all pop in the chat where you're from and what instrument you play? It's always nice to know. And yeah, so we will kick off in just a moment. Okay. So Larry is a singer and pianist. Lovely. Welcome. Great. Just a couple of people joining the space, so we'll start once they're in. Wonderful. So voice singers, great singer. So I'm a viola player and violinist. I'm based in London. I've been performing and playing since I was 17 professionally, and I became a Feldenkrais practitioner a few 10 years ago now. I qualified, so quite a while. Lovely. So we're going to start. So today's session, for those of you who just joined us, if you could put your camera on, that would be wonderful. We are just recording for my beautiful face and sound. So you will not be, the recording of all of you will not be used, I promise. So if you would like to have your camera on, that makes my job much more interesting and I can give you feedback as we go. So yeah, just pop in whatever voice if you're a singer or instrumentalist, it's always lovely to see about you all. And today's session, we're going to start with a little bit of playing or singing and some questions to start with. So what I wanted to teach about today is our balance of attention. So I know that you've been working on different kinds of balance through the week with other people, but a part of our job as musicians is to perform and to be able to be present in a space, to be present with an audience, and to find a balance between our internal sensation, internal thinking. We could call both of those things interoception, the ability to feel inside ourselves. Then we have proprioception, that's the ability to feel the world in contact with us. So if you're standing, that's the ground beneath your feet. If you are sitting, that's your bottom of the chair and probably your feet as well. It even would imply, it would also include the sensation of, say, your glasses resting on your face, or what you can feel of your clothes touching your skin. So you in direct contact with the outside world. And then we have two forms of exteroception, I think I always say that wrong, which is essentially the outside world. And for us musicians, I think we can divide this into two, and that's the music and everything else. So that might be our colleagues, it might be the environment around us, it might be noticing of our audience, or rustling some papers, or listening, or we perhaps think they're not listening. We could, and you can see already we've got into the realm of interoception and exteroception at the same time. So what we're going to do today is play with this, because I think it's a really important part of our performance. So you're going to start, we're just going to have 1 minute for you to sing or play, whichever you do. And we're muted, so you're going to be in your own space. You don't have to worry about anybody else's judgment. But what I want you to do is notice, what do you do? Where does your attention go usually when you are singing or playing? Is it internal? Is it perception, what you're touching? Is it external? Okay, so I'm going to be quiet for a moment while you explore that. Okay, so that was a minute. That's no, not a very long amount of time. So, what were your first impressions? We could, of course, if we had a longer session, I would get you to do this for longer to give you more time to think. But what were your first impressions? So, if you're happy to speak, just unmute, and then I'll ask you and invite you to speak. If you don't want to do that, just pop it in the chat. Okay, so does anybody want to? It doesn't matter whether you're sitting or standing, however you would usually play or sing. So where does your attention go? Is it internal? Is it thought? Is it more sensation? Did you feel yourself in relation to the world, pure perception? Was it external? Did it change in that moment, in that minute of exploration? Whereas it didn't really matter whether you were sitting or standing or whether you were singing or with your instrument, just a moment to explore the reality of what we do. Also, Larry tried both singing and playing, and his singing was much more internal and playing was almost all external. Yeah, great. Michelle, did you try it? You've unmuted. Great. With those of you without cameras on, if you can pop them on, we're not recording for your picture, only mine and the sound. So you won't be
So is mine.
we won't be using your recording. If you are unmuted, I'm assuming you want to say something. Okay, so in the chat, we've got internal thoughts and sensations, voice, throat, larynx, physical ease, quality of performance. Okay, so a lot of internal stuff going on. Wonderful. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, we're going to do some Feldenkrais. So if you would like to lie down on your floor or your bed and just angle your camera so I can see you down there, that would be wonderful. Or your table, whatever you've got. It's not going to be a very big lesson, so whatever surface you can be on. Great. So if you lie on your back, the quality of performance and sound in space is more external. Yeah. So there's a nice kind of, do you read the chat when we come back up? It's a range of different responses. Lovely. So everybody I can see is lying down. Do take off your glasses for a moment. And if you're comfortable with your legs long, have your legs long. If that's not comfy for you, you're going to bend your knees and bring your feet to standing. Okay. And I don't want you to do anything in this lesson that is uncomfortable for you. Okay. So you do as little or as much of the movement as you like. Whatever you do must feel nice. Otherwise, you just won't include it. But to start with, I want you to come to these ideas. So, what internal sensations can you feel right now? And let me just direct you for a moment. I'd like you to bring your attention inwards to the physical movements of your breath. So, as we breathe in, some part of us expands, and as we breathe out, it contracts. And if we think inwardly, you might be able to feel something that feels like a balloon internally expanding. And then the muscles of the chest are expanded from the inside. And then as your air comes out again, those muscles relax and they contract. See what you can feel of that. And there's a certain amount of that goes forwards towards the ceiling in this position if you're all lying down. So just feel right from your pubic bone all the way up to your mouth. How much movement is there going forwards? How much of you expands forwards towards the ceiling? And it doesn't go forwards on its own. There's a corresponding movement backwards for most of us in some area of the back where your back presses a little bit more towards the floor. See if you can feel that as well. So the expansion, and you might want to put your one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and then it will help you feel that from the outside. It might help you find the movement on the inside. So you've got forwards and backwards. If you bring your attention into the armpit area on the left, see if there's any expansion into the left side as you breathe in, and then corresponding retraction as you breathe out. Great. And then check in on the other side, on the right. Is there any movement there? It might be more or less in the left. Like today, I can feel that it's easier for my breathing to go into the left side than the right. And then we've got the movement of the diaphragm that moves downwards towards the pelvic floor. We can't feel that, of course, because there's no nerves in the diaphragm. But what you can feel is the columns of the bottom of your lungs expanding downwards, lengthening. And the other thing you can feel is the squishing of the abdominal organs as the lungs go down. So see if you can feel that. You might be able to feel the lungs passing each rib on the sides and at the back, as if you were just lazily plucking a harp. See if you can feel that. Then you'll know that your lungs are going downwards. And you might also feel the pelvic floor responding to the movement of the diaphragm, like two trampolines. Or you might be holding that and you might feel that there's not so much movement. See if you can notice what you do. A few times when you breathe in, hold your pelvic floor to tighten all the muscles gently, like gather the muscles of the sphincters, and then release. And just see, is there a difference when you hold the pelvic floor and you try and breathe lengthways, or when you let go? So try it again. You tighten the pelvic floor gently, make a few movements of breathing in and out in your usual speed, and then let go of all those muscles at the base of your torso and see whether there's any more movement that you can sense. And of course, there's also in the opposite direction, upwards. Upwards, you might feel the collarbones coming up, the sternum coming up. You might feel an increased pressure of the tips of the lungs that are just above the collarbones, actually, pushing up towards your head. So see if you can feel those two directions together, up and down, the lengthening of the internal column. And I say internal column, it's of course more complex shape than that, but it gives you an idea. Can you feel all of those dimensions at the same time? Like a balloon. Going outwards, front, back, left, right, up and down. So this is a very internal sensation. This is your interoception, your ability to feel inside yourself. Now you might, if you bring your attention to the contact of your back with the floor, as you breathe in and out, you might be able to feel a change in pressure in the same way that when the waves come in, they kind of slide up the beach, and then as they go away, they slide back down again. It's that same kind of pressure change you might be able to sense as the air comes in your nose or mouth, goes down towards the diaphragm, down towards in the direction of your pelvis. And then as you breathe out, it comes back up towards the mouth or nose and out. See what you can feel of that. A change of pressure against the floor. So your proprioception. You might be able to feel that you're moving and the floor is very still. Can you sense that difference? And you don't need to breathe in a big way, just your normal size of breathing. Don't strain, don't push. Just we're noticing rather than trying to force any change. Our change in Feldenkrais comes through our change of attention. If you are more comfy with your feet standing and your knees bent, do that. Okay. So you've got a very flat floor behind you. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. Keep them closed gently and see if you can sense how far away the ceiling is in front of you. So can you place yourself with your back against the floor in relation to the ceiling above you? There's some space there. And we have this ability to sense space. We spend the first few years of our life learning about our relationship with gravity, our relationship to our external world and our internal world. Can you, without opening your eyes, can you feel how far away the walls or a big piece of furniture is on the left of you? And then on the right, is the right wall further away than the left or closer? Without opening your eyes. And of course, you've got the wall that's behind your head. Where's that? Is that closer still or further away? And the wall that points towards your feet. So in the same way that we just built up your internal shape of your breathing, we've built up the box, usually it is a box, of course, of the shape of the room that you're in right now. Can you put all of those, the floor, the ceiling, the walls, together so that you can feel where you are three-dimensionally in the room that you're in? You're sending your senses outward, your exoception. And then shift your attention back inwards, back to the shape of your breathing, back to those physical expansion and retraction of the breath inside you. Inwards. If you can't feel all 6 sides at once, that's absolutely fine. You just play with feeling different sides, different pairs. And then go back to your room. Because it's not important that we lose our awareness. It's important that we can refine it so that we have choice over what we pay attention to. So feel the room outside you once again. Maybe you can feel where the light comes in without opening your eyes. You can feel what direction the light comes into the room from. Are there thoughts going through your head as well? Take a moment and pay attention to those. I find in a lesson myself that the whole mixture of thinking about what the teacher's saying, thinking about whether I agree with them. It could be I'm thinking about my dinner, or it could be a whole host of things. I'm thinking about something that happened in the past or something that's going to be in the future. And now shift your attention once again away from your thoughts to your breathing. Back to the shape of your breath. You can put your hands back on top of you if that helped you feel yourself. So anywhere that you're holding, but perhaps you don't need to. And that's hard to feel in stillness. So we're going to add a little bit of movement. Bend both knees and bring your feet standing if they haven't already. And have your feet hips width apart. So kind of a large foot space in between your feet, or 2 feet. Great. And begin to roll your pelvis downwards so that you lift the waistband a little. Those of you who are in in the lesson yesterday will recognize this. You just roll the pelvis, you lift the waistband, you'll feel that your tailbone comes closer to the floor, and then you release and it returns. Go slowly, be really lazy about this. So don't push the movement, don't force. Right. And now you could also roll the pelvis up so you flatten your waistband against the floor. Try that. So you tilt the pelvis upwards, your sitting bones coming a little away from the floor, you roll up towards the waistband, and then you come back, you release. So you'll feel that going down is active, releasing is not so active. Going up is active, and coming back is not so active. So add those two directions together, rolling, using the release to help you go in the other direction. What are you paying attention to? Internal sensation? External sensation? A thought? Often we have very habitual ways of responding to what we encounter in the world. Right. So you're just going to find an easy rhythm. So what I want is a lazy rhythm. You only move in a way that feels really nice for you, and go slow enough that you can do this for a while without getting tired. You'll feel that if you push with your feet a little into the floor, that can help you roll up without it being so muscular. You can make that a more skeletal movement. Now, as you roll up and back, maybe you can feel that your spine starts to respond. How can you feel this? It's a mixture of interoception, feeling how the muscles and your bones are shifting in their shapes, in their curves. See what you can feel of that. So you roll the pelvis up and down. You're lying on the floor. So you're not sitting up and down. You're lying on the floor. You stay lying on the floor. You've got your knees bent, your feet are standing. It's just a movement of the pelvis, so not your whole self. And it's a really lazy movement, so you don't need to lift your bottom into the air. You're rolling up a little bit and down in the other direction a bit as well. So you go both ways. So you lift the waistband and the pelvis rolls down as well. Great. Can you shift your attention to proprioception, to feeling how you roll over the floor? Which parts of the pressure, which areas of yourself change pressure with the ground? And you may well start to feel as you repeat this movement, we've been doing it for a little while, that more of you starts to join in. You don't need to lift your bottom from the floor. The bottom, some part of your pelvis is staying on the ground. That's it. I feel it's going up and down. Great. Does it reach your head? Does your head move? You'll know it will because that space between the chest and your chin will change as you roll the pelvis up and down. Can you continue to do the movement, but send your attention outwards? Feel the walls, feel the ceiling, feel the floor. Does that change your perception of what you're doing? Bring your attention back inwards to your breathing. Are you breathing freely? Can you make this movement and still feel the changing shape of your breath, the physical shifting in and out of the breathing? So as musicians, we are doing this kind of shifting of attention all the time without necessarily being aware of it. When we become aware of it, it can give us greater intentionality, greater opportunity to change what we're doing. Right? Leave that and just make your legs long again or come back to your resting position. And as you rest, simply notice where your attention goes. Bring your attention back to your thinking. Bring your attention back to your breathing. Leave the thinking. The shape of your breath. Think of sliding the lungs down the xylophone of your ribs, down the back, down the sides. When we breathe abdominally, it can help us feel more holistic, more unified, more one organism. And often when when we get stage fright or anxiety of any sort, this is one of the connections that goes. We tend to breathe more shallowly, breathe just in the chest. It's something I've worked a lot in over the years with I have a project of helping people reduce anxiety and build resilience and build stable presence. It's one of my special areas of interest. Shift your attention again. Open your eyes for a moment. Find an object in the room just to look at and pay attention to. Maybe you look at the colors or the shapes for a moment. Leave your eyes open and come back to feeling your breathing. How can we have shared attention, internal and external? Great. Roll to one side, make your way back up to standing. And in our last couple of minutes, we are going to come back to playing or singing. And I'll ask you that same question as I did at the beginning. Where's the balance of your attention? Is it internal, sensational thought? Is it pure perception? Contact with the earth around us? Is it external? Can you move it more freely now? Can you play with where your attention is? I'm going to be quiet for a minute while you explore that. Great. So that's your minute. Did something change for you after that exploration? Did you just discover anything perhaps that was different? What did you notice as you sang or played that second time? Feel free to pop it in the chat. It's always useful and interesting for other people to see what you discovered. Or if you're happy to speak, then just unmute and I'll invite you to speak. Great. So Cheryl was more able to switch between inner and outer perception. Great. That's what I was hoping for. But maybe that wasn't what you experienced. Maybe you got something different from it. That's also fine. Maggie feels more solid and substantial. Interesting. So it can change our perception of ourselves. Just this. We didn't do very much movement this time. I'm sure you've done movement lessons this week that have been much more about the movement rather than the perception. So I felt more grounded while feeling taller. And iPhone 5, sorry, I don't know your name. I felt more able to feel external and internal perception at the same time. Interesting. Maybe you felt something different, which case would be lovely to hear. And we've got 4 minutes or so before the recording stops. So if you would like to if you have any questions, then this is the time to ask them. And if you'd like to work with any of us more, then you can, there's ways of, if you go to our website, you can get in contact with any of us and do a little more with us. Great. Michelle loved the ability to play between. Great. And anything else you'd like to comment on or ask? Feedback? Oh, it's a pleasure. Any questions? A very enjoyable and soothing lesson. Thanks, Maggie. And Corin's feeling more quieter and grounded. A pause and an activity taking you inwards. I see, yeah, what is a rest? Like sometimes a rest is doing something different, like yesterday where we were doing movements in sitting and we stand, and then other times a rest can be a different kind of rest. Great. Well, if no one has any questions, exactly, this is a good exercise for performing in theatre halls. Precisely. That's why we're doing it, right? So that you can know how big your space is and feel comfortable in it. Because if you can choose whether you sense internally, you can, the volume of yourself, if you like, or you can choose to expand and include the whole room. And if we can feel space not only in front of us, but around us, side to side, back, we can, if we're on stage as singers and we're interacting, we can interact more easily with others. Even just thinking about filling the sound behind you can help project the sound forwards instrumentally, which you wouldn't necessarily think of. But I invite you to try out that idea for yourself, and you can always report back via our email as to what you discovered. Lovely. So I know you're all probably very busy, so I'm going to love you and leave you. So thank you so much for your attention. We've got one more lesson tomorrow with Cheryl. Cheryl, do you want to say something about your lesson?
Hi. Yeah, mine's four corners. So finding the sort of relationship between the shoulders and the pelvis and actually that internal space and external. So it sort of follows on really nicely from your lesson, I hope. So yeah, it's a nice lesson. Hope people will enjoy it.
Great. So we hope to see some of you tomorrow as well. Wonderful. Great. I'm going to stop recording.